I gotta stop. Like taking it. What did you do?
That was epic.
Did you die, Aven?
No.
Did you jump off the edge?
Yes, I did. I jumped off the edge to get my pickaxe. And then, as I was in the void...
Why did you throw your pickaxe? Are you crazy?
When I was in the void...
Why do you have TNT?
Hold the fuck on. When I grabbed my pickaxe, I was in the void. So I was like, a last minute thing to survive. It was beautiful.
It's very dangerous, Aven. You could have died.
I could have died, but I didn't.
But you should have.
You know what?
I would have been okay with it.
You know the army value courage. Take every challenge, formidably, physical and moral.
One of these import. Okay. Need to get all this dirt out of this device and then trash the rest of it. This is lettuce. This is dirt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, So, Chris?
Yes.
What's good?
Also defined by the public.
I mean, we're going off of another abstract thought. Alright, so if it's defined by the public, is there good for animals?
It's hard to say if they make conscious choices.
So what determines a conscious choice? I mean, like, there's a few people that argue that animals do have a conscience and some that do not. Which one's right?
And whichever one can be defined. And we can't define whether or not an animal has the same consciousness as us. Right,
and one performs an act that is good, is it good if that act is good?
What? I wasn't listening. I was trying to configure this back.
Okay, so animals have consciousness, right? Or it may not, depending on whoever may be right.
Mm-hmm.
And say they commit an act that is... They don't have to commit an act of good, but there is good in that animal. But you said good is determined for society, so... What are you trying to get at? Society is the only thing that can experience good? Or a good?
Technically, yes.
But what about dogs? I think I see envy in their eyes when they experience a good. But then at the same time, how are you going to see the expression of a good when it comes down to a fruit fly?
Why is it so dark down here? Expression of good from a fruit fly.
I don't know.
It only lives 24 hours. It has no good.
In my book, it wasn't really too difficult, questioning these subjects, right?
Mm-hmm.
On why I believe the way my definitions are for those words. But ironically, during class, of course, these are abstract ideas, right?
Yes.
These are abstract ideas. Love, good, evil, wisdom, justice. They're pretty... They're fucking abstract ideas. Abstract thought. You can't really define them.
Yes. But you definitely know what they are. And it's all because of social norms.
And with philosophy, you must separate the truth from your belief.
Yes.
All right.
Does that beyond philosophy, though?
Does not mean you are trying to disprove belief, but you're trying to explain truth.
Yes.
For example, we'll use the common thing of evil. What's evil? Well, if you do the opposite of good, and it's like, okay, whatever. But in belief...
Simplest definition.
In belief, some believe that homosexual is evil. But in truth, is it evil?
It's defined by religion in that case.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it would be. But only because the religion defined it as so.
But
Of course, luckily for us, everyone in the world isn't religious.
But in some, but it doesn't have to be pertain to religions, Chris. So as
I know it doesn't have to, but it's
for
usually
the
the
longest
only
period
reason
of time,
why.
people believed that the Earth was flat.
Yeah.
Was it true?
No.
Exactly. That's why you have to. I mean, for the longest period of time, science and modern medicine was a part of philosophy because it wasn't. Because those two branches, those two subjects question and seek the truth in what we know today, science and medicine.
Mm-hmm.
They were under philosophy. But ultimately, when we had the list of these abstract thoughts of good, evil, love, wisdom, justice, and she's like, these are abstract thoughts. You must separate truth and belief. Right? And I'm thinking to myself, in order to find truth, you must separate belief. And I'm like, okay. But we're trying to find truth in these beliefs. And she's like, no, these are abstract thought. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, but wouldn't abstract thought be divulged of these beliefs? I mean, to say that people don't believe in love is like saying people don't, you know what I mean? It's like to find truth, you're trying to subtract this when not, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you should be practicing it, but you're subtracting it. I'm not saying you should include it, but you're completely shedding it. You're shedding belief away from truth, when truth is part of belief. In my book, I wanted to say that, but I was going to like brain fuck over everyone in the classroom if I continued the argument there. Because, would you say that, what is it? In order to desire the truth, wouldn't you have to want to understand the truth behind these abstract thoughts? I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say that.
I think the only reason to find truth is because you see injustice. That's about it. You won't go after solving something.
This is an abstract thought.
Yeah, but you won't go after solving something unless you feel there's a problem. So you won't look for truth unless you believe there's false.
Yeah, but what makes justice? What makes it injustice?
Because it's not the truth, but that's because it's been defined that way for a long time, though.
It's like truth is absolute, but I don't know if that's true anymore. As Socrates says, he's the wisest man that ever lived. Why? Because he knew nothing. So the truth is not truth.
Of course. That's how it always has been.
See, I took it a step farther later that day because freaking teacher had my brain going. And it was like, alright, I'm going to challenge the saying, I think, therefore I am.
What they said that, or did you?
Me. Alright,
Okay,
I'm curious. Yeah. How would you question that? How would you question...
What, that you think, therefore you are?
Yes.
I don't really know. It's too vague.
I know, it's very vague.
So you'd have to specify what part of it you'd have to define.
Well, let's start from the very beginning. Alright, I think, therefore I am. Okay, what makes you think?
Your brain.
Your brain. What made your brain think?
The calculations of your brain. That's about it.
Yes. Yeah. But what originally put those calculations of your brain in your brain?
Well, now you're going
Why not your
far,
penis?
Aven. Some things are automated.
But why do they have to be automated if things don't really seem that automated?
What?
Even automated things have a brain. So, what started this? You started this automated system. Well, what started your automated system?
You got to be careful not to go too philosophical. At some point, you're going to find that you can't find answers to anything.
Exactly.
What's the point of questioning if you know you're not going to get anywhere?
Because the point is that you're traveling.
Well, yeah, but you need to stay within a specific range, or else you're just asking questions. I mean, we could all ask philosophical questions with absolutely no point in questioning them. Like, why is the color green green? And then you'd just be like, well, it's green because it's green. And
It's green because
the
of the
counter,
color
of
scope.
course, the counter, of course, is that it's some other color defined by someone's specific view on it, and that's great, but no one can solve it. And as well as that, the overall goal of answering the question is kind of meaningless.
Yeah, but
As well as that, it's like asking why color.
Keep in mind, we're talking. For one, the subjects that I've been addressing to you are abstract thought ones.
Well, yeah.
Those, of course, you will. It's equivalent to what is it? The square root of 5. You're only going to have additional numbers tacked on at the end.
I still don't really understand that. Like one major question I've always had is, we've defined pi, and we don't know where it ends. But what the hell did we do to define pi? Like, there must be an equation that gave them a number that doesn't end.
Exactly.
I want to put that in every time I use pi. Because then I will be as accurate as I possibly can be.
I know fucking Greeks for you.
I'm like, they're all like, oh, we'll just round it up for 4 numbers. No, I want the exact proof as to how we got pi so I can type it in my calculator and it can yell at me.
Because it doesn't have enough RAM.
Because the screen's going to stop before I get through half of the calculation.
But,
like, I can understand the square root of, like, 2 and stuff not having definable, like, not having an end, but I do question how they get to that. And, I mean, I'm fine with that because it's a square root, so it's like, okay, we're looking for, like, the square of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You use logarithms. But no logarithm helps you with pi.
No, and that's what's the magic of it.
And then natural number is also not pi, although I think it was similar to pi. I don't really remember. But it's just like, you're just pulling numbers out of nowhere at this point.
Yeah, I know. You see, at first I thought the same way, but then looking at the structure of the, what do you call it? The one reason why I pulled out the square root of 5 is because I was watching a documentary of the Acropolis earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over the architecture portion of humanities. And it's very interesting that they use mathematics for everything of the Acropolis. Even the general layout, like the 12th. It's a beautiful thing that they did. But,
headphones are acting a little bit weird.
You know, sitting back, and if you just do what the Asians do, where you just shut the fuck up and listen,
mm-hmm.
You understand where it comes from. It's difficult to explain because I have horrible speech communication.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It can be tough sometimes to get the specifics out of everything.
But it makes sense if you just go with the ride. And I came across that from my child development course with ex-teacher, because okay, anyways, it's the fact that the one difference between Asia students and Eastern and Western students is Eastern students shut up and they listen.
Pretty sure the word is Asian.
Well, yeah, but then I realized there's other Eastern countries that have the same principles.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the large amount of Indian doctors, but but they have the principle of they don't question it until they learn it. For example, we could be sitting down in economics and the teacher says, alright, XYZ. Right? Everyone understands XYZ. but then you go to X. A modern classroom scenario will be like X, Y, and person's like, so what's Y? I don't understand. Where do you get Y? Where's Y going? What the fuck's Y? And then the teacher then proceeds to explain why is there, and then continues on their lecture to Z. In which the student never really grasps the concept of X, Y, Z. If they don't get the overall overview, I understand. Yeah. Okay, now I understand why teachers do that now. If they don't get the overall entire overview, it kind of... Chris, you're breaking up.
What? Am I?
It sounds so robotic.
How about now?
No.
I'm fine?
Chris?
Yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can hear me just fine?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, are you lagging?
I can't tell, am I?
Yeah, you're lagging, but like a half a second to a second.
Holy shit. Weird.
Although I think that is actual lag. I was worried about my headphones, because the thing is, while you were talking, I could hear my headphones slightly buzz on the left, and I was wondering if there might be an issue, because I've been using my headphones a lot more recently, so I'm wondering if they might be slightly going out, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that buzzing was worrying, because I'm like, I don't want this getting picked up by the mic, because the thing is, if it's on the left, it might shake the mic, kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
God, you're off by so far.
I think someone crashed into a telephone pole or something, because I heard an ambulance.
Okay, so then how about another time check? I'm going to say now, and then I want you to say now right after I say it. Now?
Now. I wasn't prepared,
That's
Chris.
not too bad. Whoa. Well, you got it about right.
I was just like, I was expecting some sort of like countdown, and then you're like,
I know.
no.
I was considering a count, and I was like, I was partially considering whether or not you got it because I didn't get a confirmation. So I was just like, I'm just gonna go with it. So then I said now, and you responded pretty quickly. So I was just like, okay, guess the world's fine.
I don't know, but
it wasn't going to be the end of the world, but I was questioning everything at this point. Because it's interesting when you start noticing someone's like lagging behind on the audio, because you're talking to them, and then they'll just slowly start syncing out, and you just notice small discrepancies in the time that they take to respond, and you're just like, something seems off.
Something's not right. Bam.
Oh.
What is I'm thinking of?
I need to get an automated sand producer for here. You know, I was thinking about the philosophical questions. It's like, I love philosophical questions. I actually like to think about them a lot of the time in my off hours. Darn this phone, I will melt it.
Who the hell's texting you, Crash?
I don't know. Something about Dad messaging me, and I'm ignoring it.
I thought it would be your brother, like, yo, Will, QRQ.
That happened yesterday.
Late.
Not quite sure why. It was literally random, because sometimes we had like an odd conversation. Like, what was it he sent me? He sent me something about how he was angry at Spanish because he's learning Spanish because he's in a Spanish class. I don't know why. God only knows why. I went with it too. I went and did Spanish class. I hated it. Got a D in it. So screw it.
Yeah, you can speak perfect Japanese.
Exactly.
Etose tampa.
I mean, the thing about Spanish is that it's easily understandable to some degree because it's very similar to English from time to time. But there are specific words you wouldn't know, like escribir or whatever it is. I believe is right. It's spelled with oh god, I don't even remember. It's like ESCRIB or something like that, and then I think there's an E after that. But it's right, and you would of course not have any clue about that. But there are times like what is it? I want to think of like a word that's similar to English, but I can't really think of I think like notification is like notificanos or something like that. So you would be like, I mean, I'm just assuming, but it's basically what it's like whenever you're reading Spanish stuff. You're like, I kind of know this word enough to probably tell what it is.
Yeah.
And it happens like every once in a while, but sometimes you come across like some straight up supreme Spanish and you're like, God help us. Alright, I gotta go through all this and replace them all with sand. But, so he was complaining about his Spanish homework. And then he said something along... Actually, I can just pull up this message. Just pull it up.
Pull it up. No one can see. I mean...
No one can see. No one can hear it. But they'll know. They'll all know. Alright, so he mentions... It's hard to decipher this madness. Then he said right after that, because I didn't respond, I just waited on that. I was like, okay. And so then he sent message, I hate you. And then I said lies. Then he said these hieroglyphics are cruel. And of course, thinking to myself, makes sense. And then my instant response was, your face is cruel. To which, I mean, because he was a small delay there, so he didn't catch that before he sent out his second message, which was, you stay here, we're going to do algebra next, because apparently I'm helping him with Spanish and algebra now.
Huh.
So I'm like, okay, I got to come up with an algebraic equation or something, or just ignore it. So I kind of ignored it for now, just to see where it would go.
Mm-hmm.
And the next message was, you better be good at chemistry too, that's aftermath. So then I reply, E equals MC squared. The most logical choice of statements. Yes, and then I'm pretty sure I failed him at this point, which is why he sent the message. I relied on you. Oh, yeah, and then the second part says I just failed, and so I thought to myself, well, I relied. Which is where it ended.
He was just like, fucking crazy.
That's what conversations can sometimes become when I try hard enough.